our citizens as elected officials and all the public employees and servants, and pray for your continued favor as we endeavor to serve you and the public. We appreciate and offer our sincere thanks for allowing us to live in the best parish and the best state of the best country on earth. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the commissioners, in your packet, you had the minutes from the March 7th meeting. If there's no corrections that need to be made, I'm looking for a motion to approve. Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fitzmaurice to approve. Commissioner Seeger.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Seeger. Please vote.
Mr. Troncoso, thank you. The motion to approve carries.
Thank you. Postponing of cases, Helen.
Yes, we have a request to postpone item number 2 on the agenda, 2023-3225 ZC.
Okay, this was requested by.
The petitioner called me this afternoon. If I'm not mistaken, they're still speaking with the council representative of the area and requested to postpone for 1 month.
Okay. All right, let me read this into the record. And I think we've got one gentleman here who might be here for this. This is item 2 on the agenda. It's case 2023-3225-ZC. Existing zoning is PF1 Public Facilities District. Proposed zoning is A4 Single Family Residential District and MHO Manufactured Housing Overlay. The location, parcel located on the north side of Haas Road, east of US 11, in Slidell, Ward 8, District 14. It's 0.87 acres. Petitioner is Fidela Al-Inye. The owner is Skip and Deanna Stanley, Council District 14. This was postponed from the March 7th meeting. Is there anyone here for that case? Seeing no one, Commissioner Truxilla.
I make a motion to postpone
For 1 month.
1 month,
Okay.
30 days.
Commissioner Smale.
I second that motion.
Second by Commissioner Smale. Please vote.
The motion to postpone for 1 month carries.
Thank you. Anything else?
No, sir.
Well, shame on you.
Say that next meeting, not this one.
All right. We'll go with the first case. Item 1 is case number 2022-2990-ZC. Existing zoning is A2 Suburban District. Proposed zoning is A2 Suburban District and MHO Manufactured Housing Overlay. Location, parcel located on the southeast intersection of Heather Mist Drive, east of Sea Spray Drive, Slidell, Ward 8, District 13. It's 1.66 acres. Petitioner is Helgen Gallardo. Owner is Trim Prop Incorporated -JP and WA LLC, James Lindsay, Council District 13. This was postponed at the January 3rd meeting. Was the first postponed, and it's been postponed for the next two meetings. All right, staff.
This is a request to allow for a zoning change to manufactured housing overlay. I know it's been postponed a few times. I did not see the petitioner or the owner here in the audience. I attempted to reach out to Mr. Lindsay this afternoon, but I couldn't speak with him. So I don't know if there's anyone in the audience to represent for this case, or maybe, consider to postpone it indefinitely.
Okay, isn't this the case that Jake Gary, the councilman,
That's
had
correct.
indicated that
That's correct.
he's working on something to help these folks out?
If I'm not mistaken, that's correct.
That's correct. There's some elevation grants that are being considered in this area and some buyouts that are also going forward. So Councilman Airy has requested that this zoning change be postponed, and I think it would be appropriate to do so indefinitely, and it can come back on the agenda when the time is right.
Okay, is there anyone here in the audience that's here for this case? Okay, I'm gonna close the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Truxillo.
I make a motion to postpone indefinitely.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Truxillo to postpone indefinitely. Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. All right, please vote.
The motion to postpone indefinitely carries.
Tom, you voted nay?
Did.
Okay.
I don't like the indefinite part. That's okay.
Okay, all right. I hear you.
While we're on that subject, can I request to speak?
Yes, sir.
Because I don't quite understand the indefinitely either. Did we not just, we can't just cancel it altogether, or if the indefinitely is how we do it? I mean, what, the people that are possibly against, and I know there was something in the past where we postponed it indefinitely, how do the people that might be against it know when to show up if it's postponed indefinitely?
I'm gonna let Emily answer that.
Well, if it's withdrawn rather than postponed indefinitely, it would require the applicant to pay all the application fees again, and he may not be able to apply for the same zoning change within a certain amount of time based on the ordinances. So this is a mechanism that allows it to stay in the board's business, and it's the secretary of the board, the Department of Planning's director, that controls the agenda. But when it is placed back on the agenda, it's going to require all the same notice provisions, publishing in the newspaper 3 times, posting of the property, posted agenda. So there will be adequate public notice when it is placed back on the agenda.
Very good. Thank you very much, Ms. Kuvion, for that explanation.
Okay, thank you. All right, we go to item 3. Case is 2023-3241-ZC. Existing zoning is A2 Suburban District. Proposed zoning is A2 Suburban District and MHO Manufactured Housing Overlay. Parcel located on the west side of Dixie Ranch Fire Tower Road, north of CC 19 Road, Ward 9, District 11, is 3.1546 acres. The petitioners, George Bartley III and Leslie Bartley, and the owner is the same, Council District 11. Staff?
This is a request to allow for the placement of a mobile home on a piece of property, and, basically I would like to point out item number 6, which describe basically the surrounding area. The existing stretch of Dixie Ranch Fire Tower Road to the south is developed with 5 stick-built dwellings, 2 mobile homes on the property, already obtained mobile home overlay in 2020. And the adjacent L. Miller Road is developed with 7 stick-built dwellings, 2 mobile homes, which are considered as legal non-conforming use.
Okay, thank you. Are the Bartleys here?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to come to the microphone and tell us what you would like to do?
Yes, council members. We reside right now on the West Bank, Jefferson Parish, and for the last 3 to 4 years, we've been looking for a place to come to St. Tammany, and we found that 5 acres on Dixie Ranch Road. We were only asking for 3 acres to be zoned. We have an agreement to purchase a mobile home, which is a brand-new 1,900 square foot, double wide, and we're setting in on the 3rd acre where it will not be visible from the road. And this is our retirement home. So we asked this council to allow us to do that.
Okay. All right. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak either for or against on this item? All right, I'm going to close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Crawford.
I went by there today. This is, you found a piece of property that's out there. It's out in the sticks, basically. Not too many people around, so that's nice, very nice. On that particular stretch of the road, there's some stick-built houses, and I believe there's 3 other mobile homes that I saw there. Okay. I personally don't have a problem with it. I think it's okay, and I didn't see any residents come out to object. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Crawford to approve. Commissioner Truxillo.
I second because I went out there also. Thank you.
Second by Commissioner Truxillo. Commissioner Smale.
Yeah, we don't have any residents here that are objecting to this, and it's on a 5-acre property, and it's not visible from the road, so I'm for it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to approve it's 3.1546 acres here. Okay. All right. Please vote.
The motion to approve carries.
Thank you. All right, the next item is item 4. Case is 2023-3242-ZC. Existing zoning is A1 Suburban District. Proposed zoning is A1 Suburban District and RO Rural Overlay. Parcel located on the north side of Bayham Road and west of Louisiana Highway 1077, Covington, Ward 1, District 3. It's 10.63 acres. Petitioner's Ricky Bowles and the owner's Ricky Bowles. Council District 3. Staff?
This is a 10.63 acre parcel, and the request is to add a rural overlay. The reason for the request is to utilize this property for farming, agricultural uses, and including the construction of agricultural barn to house the farm animals.
Okay. Are the Bowles here? Good evening.
Good evening.
I think I've seen you here before.
Yeah, seems like a rare, comic, hopefully you won't see me no more, but. My name's Ricky Bowles. I live at 72505 Wise Road, which is right around the corner from this property. As y'all seen me a few months ago, we did a partial breakout for my kids, and the rest of it I want to put a few head of cows I own that are at a good friend of mine's up in Folsom. So the reason I'm here tonight is to do the rural overlay so we can proceed with that and try to live happy.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anyone here in the audience wish to speak against on this? Or for? Seeing no one, I'll close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fitzmaurice to approve. Commissioner Truxillo.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Truxillo. Commissioner Smale.
Mr. Bowles, is there any buildings on the property?
No, currently there's no buildings on the property. It used to be a pasture before. The gentleman that had the property before had cows on it. And so, no, it's free and clear. There was on the parcel that was divided from my son, the front piece, there used to be a barn up there, but it was torn down, so at some time back.
You plan on putting anything on it other than cows?
No, I'm gonna put a barn on it.
Barn.
Eventually, yeah, to, house hay and the animals and stuff during bad weather and so forth, so. But yeah, eventually I'll put a barn on it
Very good.
and, maybe a greenhouse, so, other than that.
Yeah, I appreciate those answers. It's, Mr. Bowles, I completely believe that those are his intentions, and I hope that we can remove the short-term rentals from the rural overlay. Other than that, I'm fully for this. I'm sure Mr. Bowles is going to put cattle on there and not an Airbnb.
Not unless they want to sleep with some cows.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we've got a motion and a second. Please vote.
Mr. Troncoso? Thank you. The motion to approve carries.
Thank you. All right, next item is item 5. Case is 2023-3254-ZC. Existing zoning is A2 Suburban District. Proposed zoning is A2 Suburban District and MHO Manufactured Housing Overlay. Location, parcel located on the north side of Ned Avenue, west of Sunshine Street, Slidell, Ward 9, District 11. It's 1.7 acres. Petitioner's Ryan McDonald, the owner's Ryan McDonald. It's Council District 11. Staff?
The request is to allow for the placement of a mobile home on a 1.7 acre parcel. The parcel is basically part of the Chateau Estate neighborhood, which is developed with an existing mix of stick-built dwellings and mobile homes. However, none of the mobile homes that are in the subdivision of the mobile home overlay, they're considered as legal non-conforming uses.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. McDonald? Good evening.
Hi, I'm Ryan. I live at 100 Sunrise at the corner of Ned and Sunrise. You can see in the picture that little square in the middle of the trees is my house. That's the same thing I plan on doing on the property right next to it. Is just give enough room to put a mobile home in the middle of the trees where you can't see it from the road. But we want to put my partner's mother there, who's retired and disabled, and have something she owns put on my property.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor? All right, I've got a card on Dion Gervis Steed and James Steed that are against. Are they here? Okay, come to the microphone, please. And I probably mispronounced the name, but
Oh, Cuevas.
Cuevas,
I grew up in Madisonville.
all right.
No disrespect intended. We have a lot of problems on our street. And both of them seem to be with trailers that are on our street. One is my next door neighbor, who I constantly file complaints against because it looks like Sanford and Son. And if I go to sell my house, there's no way that I'm going to be able to sell my house with this person next to me. I've been told by the parish that they can't do anything because the person who owns it is dead, and they can't file anything against someone who is dead. And I just have a lot of problems. Down the street is another problem. We have 2 RVs that are set up, and these people have been living in an RV for 2 years. I bought a house. I grew up in Madisonville back when this parish was small, and you could go from the Causeway to Covington in 3 minutes, and people laugh at me. But I grew up in this parish like that, and it just seems like it's very overcrowded now, and I know we can't do anything about it. We want to welcome people. But I want to make sure that my property is protected. The next street, Francis, there have been 3 houses built that are very nice. And these people came in, they built houses, and it increased the value of our little 3 streets there. And I just want to make sure that, I guess the last time we came here when this happened, we had somebody who wanted a trailer again in our neighborhood. Our big question was, we don't know what could be there. Somebody could move in a trailer that is not brand new, and then we've got an eyesore again. And I don't think that you're going to do that, but it's a problem for me. It's a concern of mine. When we bought the house, we were given this covenant that says, no structure of a temporary character, trailer, mobile home, basement, shack, garage, barn, or other outbuilding shall be used on any lot at any time as a residence, either temporarily or permanently. That's what, when we bought our house 12 years ago, we were given this. We've been told by this nice man that once upon a time when they started bringing trailers in, he actually won a case against it. So I don't want to be a bad neighbor. Those are my concerns. And I want to make sure that the value of my property increases rather than decreases. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak against? All right, I'm going to close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. I believe.
Rebuttal.
Oh, okay, rebuttal. Thank you.
I mean, I do currently live there, and my property, there's no, I mean, it's really just trees. You can't even see my property. I have a curving driveway going to my house. There is a mobile home directly across the street from this property and a mobile home directly behind it, adjoining that property. And I drove around the neighborhood today. I counted 20-plus other mobile homes around the neighborhood. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Rebuttal? Yes, sir.
Right.
Come to the mic.
When we bought our property, the covenants clearly stated this. So, I mean, I don't understand why we have to keep coming back and back when someone takes raw land, clears it out, and they want to bring in a mobile home. I mean, I don't understand why we got to keep coming here to do this.
Okay. I can answer it, or I can turn it over to legal. She'll give you a better answer than probably I.
If you want to answer it, I'll follow up from you if you.
Well, restricted covenants are enforceable among the residents of the subdivision, okay? The parish will not enforce, and the state does not enforce restrictive covenants. That goes back a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
And I'll only follow that up by saying that there's also provisions in the Louisiana Revised Statutes whereby if restrictive covenants are not enforced within a certain amount of time, they prescribe or they're no longer enforceable. I don't know in this instance if that's the case, but that is Louisiana law as well, that they have to be enforced by the holders of that right in order to stay active or enforceable.
Alrighty, thank you.
Okay? And a lot of times if you work with your neighbors, I don't know if this is a new trailer or used trailer or what. Okay, all right. And there's, the parish does have certain rules and ordinances that has to be followed. It has to be all set up properly and skirting around it and everything. So hopefully it will look nice. And it's apparently, from what the gentleman said, if I understood him right, it will be back far enough that you really won't see it from the road. Okay, did I understand you right? Yes. Okay, all right. All right, I'm gonna close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Troncoso.
Yes, ma'am, I have a question for you regarding, were you aware of the mobile home that was developed right across the street from this gentleman's property a few years back?
It was there.
How long was it there?
We've been here 10 years, and
He was there when you,
Yes, and every time that we've come to the commission, we've come 3 times.
I need you to come to the microphone, please.
We've been here 3 times, and I think all 3 times they've declined, you've denied the request. Yes, and the problem is, these people have been here for years and years, and like I said, my next door neighbor, I can't do anything about what it looks like. I can't do anything about the fact that his grass grows this tall, and when he mows it, we have snakes in our yard. And I have tried, and I have tried, and I have tried. I've come in down here 3 times, and I've basically been told that the parish doesn't have enough money to handle a lawsuit against someone, and even if they could, that they could not enforce it because they don't know they can't find the people who own the property. I told them I could find the people who own the property, and I've been told, oh, well, you don't have the resources. So I fight with it constantly. And, you know, even if you put it behind trees, the problem is if somebody buys it in the future, they can just completely clear the land, like my next door neighbor did. Once upon a time, you couldn't see it. When his brother died and he moved in, he started clearing the land a little bit. So it is an eyesore from the street. And you can't control that. It's not like you've got 5 acres and it can be far enough back. It's just a shame because people are moving into our neighborhood and building nice houses. And who wants to buy a nice house with some of these trailers that look like they're 30 years old?
how old are the newest houses that have been built?
Within the last year, 2 on Francis that are very nice.
Within the subdivision itself?
Yes, and then on Bayou Paquet, a trailer was just cleared off and a man is building a house there. He's setting up the slab. So 2 on Francis, 1 on Bayou Paquet, and all 3 are houses.
Do you
houses.
have a homeowners association or any kind of a board or formal body to
No.
look into? Have y'all discussed the idea of doing that?
We have gone around the neighborhood. We've gotten some support, but we've also gotten people that basically said, no, I'm not going to deal with everybody on our street. We've got a couple of people in the 3 streets that maybe don't want any change and they don't want people to move in. And so
Is it something that you all would consider doing? I have a question for legal, Emily. It looks like the plat says it was filed in '73, which is a long time ago. I'm assuming it prescribed relative to the enforcement of the restrictive covenants, since they haven't been enforced over the years. However, we have had denials, but still, what advice can you give a subdivision, these people, what can they do relative to enforcing the platted restrictions that were originally part of the subdivision? What can they do?
I mean, they would have to, if these are prescribed, and I don't know that to be the case, I just know that covenants can prescribe.
Right.
But if these have prescribed, I mean, there are procedures in the revised statutes that allow a certain number of the homeowners in the subdivision to petition to enact restrictive covenants. It's a cumbersome process, it's a time-consuming process, and it's an expensive process, but it is available. And the other option is to continue to come to these meetings when these applications come, because although this restrictive covenant is not something that the parish enforces in court, it's something that you all can consider when making these zoning change decisions.
Thank you.
To kind of follow up on what Emily said, there was a case on restricted covenants in Briar Lake. Don't know if you were aware of it or not, but it takes 100% of the homeowners to vote in favor of a restricted covenant. And that was, you know, part of the state statute and all that. So to get to 100%, it's extremely difficult, especially if you just got one person, one family, one owner that doesn't want it, so I don't know that I'd even, go that direction with it, but,
Mr. Chairman, one comment on that. It certainly depends if there are bylaws and other written documents that run with the subdivision. I know that in other subdivisions that I'm aware of, it doesn't take 100% of the residents in order to enact or amend. And I can go by my own experience that it's 51%.
not anymore.
It's a state law.
You know?
It is a law
Yeah.
overriding the bylaws that were written originally.
I mean, I would have to research that, but, I mean, I know that the state law is 100% of property owners, but I don't know if bylaws of a certain subdivision could override those requirements by statute. I'd have to research that.
All right, thank you.
That would be something in your spare time
Right.
to see, but that did happen with a piece of property in Briar Lake. And they were trying to get something done with the restricted covenants, and it went to court, went to the 22nd Judicial.
I guess my general feeling in looking at this subdivision and actually looking at each of the structures is that it's changing in a different direction. A direction that would be closer to the restrictive covenants that were placed on the subdivision when it was originally created. And I would like to make a motion that we deny this.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Troncoso to deny. Do I have a second? Your motion fails for lack of a second. Commissioner Truxillo.
This is questions to staff. Do we have the information, how many permits were issued there in the last 5 years and what type in that area?
Not here with me. I mean, we've included the mobile homes that are there were either approved by conditional use permit or approved a long time ago when it was allowed. And it's mostly developed, there are some stick-built homes that have been constructed some time ago, and new ones are, been built within the past, I guess, 10 years.
Okay. And obviously, it sounds like that the HOA is not very active. And so the note on this about the HOA is null and void now. So I'm going to make a motion, let's vote, and I make a motion to approve.
Motion by, just a minute. Motion by Truxillo. Boy, I tell you what, getting too old here. To approve. Commissioner Crawford.
I had a couple of questions real quick. Helen, on the, this part under number 6 here, previous conditional use permits, can you give us some history on that, what that's telling us?
Yes, so if you look at the original conditional use permit, which in the past, before we adopted the Unified Development Code, to place a mobile home on a piece of property zone A2 suburban, you had to apply for a conditional use permit. So we have one in 2003 that was withdrawn. 2 were applied for in 2006, and they were denied. And then we had one in 2008 that was approved with a 2-year stipulation, and it appears, according to this comment, that in 2019 they removed it and replaced it with a new stick-built home. However, it was approved for 2 years, and it ended up being constructed in 2019. So there was quite a lapse of time.
Okay, so these are the cases in that neighborhood that you were able to pull out?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, and a question for the applicant. How long have you owned that property? The property in question, not the one you live in?
At least 20 years.
20 years at least?
Well, my wife did, my late wife did.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much. Okay, I see some other people in the queue, so I'm done for now.
Okay, Commissioner Snell.
So, to pick up on Commissioner Troncoso's points, I think that it's important to look at a neighborhood and see how it's trending. It is trending, apparently, towards stick-built homes. We want to give it a chance to actually continue that trend. And I also believe that we should be upholding, I mean, not legally, but, you know, if the original HOA has gone away, you have neighbors in the neighborhood that are relying on this HOA that said there would not have any mobile homes in the neighborhood, then we are the next best thing. We're the next line of defense for these neighbors. And so I would vote to uphold the original HOA, to go along with the trend towards stick-built homes, and to try to help this neighborhood to recover in a way that it is trending. So I am not going to second the motion, but I would do that just to bring it to a vote, but I would vote not to approve this. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Rest.
You know, this is the same thing we go through with all the mobile home. The fear is the upkeep of the mobile homes. And it seems to me maybe the real problem here is, I don't know that people necessarily have a problem with mobile homes per se, other than the upkeep of the mobile homes. And that's the thing we keep running into, because they tend to go downhill over time a lot of times, but not always. I'll give you personally, I lived in several mobile homes in my life. And there was a time and a place where that's what I needed. And I necessarily wouldn't want one in my subdivision, but my subdivision's very active with their homeowners association. It wouldn't happen, okay? So, but these mobile homes were there when you built your house also. And it's not like they sprung up after the fact. So if you move in and they're already there, it's kind of like you know they're there. But I feel like the real problem is maybe the parish enforcement of upkeep of lots. And maybe the strength of that enforcement is really the real problem. If the lot that's abandoned piece of property, I can't believe there's nowhere to go with that. That makes no sense to me, that there's not an option there. I would suggest you meet with your council person. Not come here to the department, meet with your council representative. I would say that's your best chance of getting something to move forward. They'll know the levers to pull if there's a way to get these properties that are degraded. But every mobile home isn't necessarily a problem. And I understand, I agree with the moving towards, but they're already there. And we could always say, well, they built 3 homes, so now we're moving that way. I don't know how strong that feels to me. And if the covenants haven't been enforced, I pretty much, my experience has been, if you don't enforce them, and we've got a lot of subdivisions that didn't enforce them, it pretty much is a done deal once they don't. You know, I feel for the situation. I don't think you moved into it blindly, though. And I also feel like the gentleman who wants to do this has owned the property for 20 years. He's had a mobile home there for I don't know how long, but not just overnight, on his property next door, okay?
It's not a mobile home.
Oh, it's not a mobile home next door, okay. But he's also seen other pieces of property in there with mobile homes on it the same way. So what would make him think he couldn't have a mobile home there? And what would be our precedent for shooting it down? We don't know that he's not going to take care of it.
So I would struggle, although I really feel for the situation, I struggle to think we have anywhere real strong to stand on that.
Okay. Commissioner Swale.
So the motion on the floor, can I second Mr. Troncoso's motion to deny? No. So
You can make a new motion if Truxillo's fails to get a second. Or you can,
Truxillo has a second.
Wait a minute.
he hasn't gotten a second. No, he didn't get a second.
Okay.
Why is my motion dead?
it didn't receive a second.
It is,
But
Yeah, but he,
any commissioner can
it's
second the
the
motion to
Robert's
approve and
rules,
still
the
vote to deny.
deny is,
Yeah, you can second Truxillo's motion.
so the same thing happened to me one time when I
I did it.
denied, and they overrode with the approval, a motion to approve, but, so apparently the motion to approve overrides the motion to deny.
The motion to deny didn't
Or
get a
there- Or
second.
there is no such thing as a motion to deny, or,
Well, there is, it
Right.
didn't get a second.
I've advised the board that you
Not
should
to
make
do that.
positive motions
Right.
so that we can have affirmative action on an agenda item. So I would ask the chair to call for a second on the motion on the floor, which is a motion to approve. If that does not get a second, then we may need to take up another motion.
very good.
Okay. I got another,
Can you call for a
You
second?
can call for a second.
yeah, okay. Do I have a second on the motion to approve?
I'll second.
Second by Crawford.
Second by, well,
Mr. Crawford.
You are, he just called, he just want to get on the floor.
okay. Commissioner Seeger.
I certainly understand the concern of the people that are building stick houses there, of which the petitioner is one who has built a stick house there. I bring your attention to the comprehensive plan, goal 1-3, the character of existing residential areas, expensive rural landscapes, and sensitive ecological areas will be preserved, and the character of this existing residential area is preserved with the allowance of this mobile home. Goal 1-8, a variety of safe, affordable, and attractive housing types will meet the needs of a diverse community. That goal is being met, and it is consistent with the following goals and policies of those that was brought forth by staff. Mr. Chair, is there a second for this? I'd like to bring it to a
Yes,
vote.
we have
then.
a motion and a second to approve.
I'd like to bring it to vote.
Pardon?
Bring it to vote, please.
We can do that. I have a gentleman out here in the audience. It'll take 100% of the vote here to let the gentleman speak, because I've already closed the floor to the public. Does everybody understand that? Okay. There's a gentleman in the audience that has raised his hand after I closed the floor to the public. In order to reopen the floor to the public, I need a motion, and it takes 100% of the vote to open. I don't have any idea what the gentleman wants to say, but that's procedure, if I'm not incorrect, right?
No, it would not be a 100% vote. It would be at the discretion of the chairman unless any of the members of the commission objected.
Unless how many of the members object?
Unless any of the members objected. So
Okay. All right,
you can just ask if any of the members object, in which
All right.
case it's your discretion whether or not to open the floor or to open public comment.
okay. So, do we have the vote to,
He just called for an objection.
Yeah. Yeah, and a motion's not required. The chairman has the discretion on the zoning commission to allow further public comment, but any member of the commissioner is allowed to object, in which case public comment would not be allowed.
Okay. We have a gentleman sitting in our audience that's been here for the whole meeting. Does any of the commissioners object to letting him come back to the microphone and make a comment? Okay.
Mr. Seeger, I believe, objected.
You're objecting, Tom?
Yes, it's been closed to the public.
Okay, all right. Sir? The motion,
No, the floor is still closed.
the floor is still closed to the public, okay? All right.
Comment on something y'all was discussing.
No. Once I close it to the public, then it has to go through that procedure in order to,
I tell you what it was about?
no. All right. Tom, was there anything else? I've still got you in the queue.
No, sir.
Okay, Commissioner Smale.
Okay, so the discussion about having people speak tonight on a short agenda is over, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, then I cancel my comments.
Commissioner Troncoso.
Yeah, I'd like clarification from legal relative to why my motion got bumped in favor of Mr. Truxillo's motion. Mine is to deny, his is to approve. Why is his trumping mine?
Sure, and I'd be happy to meet with you too to discuss it further, but generally speaking, all motions made by the commission should be positive motions, something that will be definitive upon the final vote. If you make a motion to deny and the motion to deny does not pass, that does not mean that the zoning change takes effect. It means that nothing has happened. So we would then have to go back. So I've advised this board in the past to only please make positive motions where possible so that we can move the business of the board forward.
Gotcha.
Technically, under Robert's Rules of Order, a motion to deny is not a motion that can be made by a board or commission.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Hey, she keeps me straight. All right, so we've got a motion and a second to approve this item 2023-3254-ZC. Please vote.
Mr. Crawford, thank you. The motion to approve carries.
All right, thank you. I understand where you folks come from, but by the same token, you know, he's had that property for quite some time too. All right.
Mr. Chairman, my votes aren't registering. I don't know why. Maybe it's, I have no electrical voltage in my fingertips tonight, but I'm having trouble. For the record, I voted no. If you would please put it of record. Thank you.
You can fill out
Okay.
form to,
Did that come up?
yeah, you,
Oh, no?
I don't,
yeah.
it happened once or twice, but I don't think
Okay.
the whole
All right.
time.
All right. We go to plan review cases. All right. Item 1, it's a plan review for, the case number is 2022-3058-PR. Use Tommy's Car Wash, new construction, corridors, Highway 21 plan corridor. Zoning is HC2, Highway Commercial District. Use size is 5,207 square feet. Petitioner, Jordan Williams. The owner is Revive Holdings 21 LLC. Location, parcel located on the east side of Louisiana Highway 21, south of Hyacintha Drive, Covington, Ward 1, District 1. Staff?
The applicant,
This was postponed, I'm sorry, from the January 3rd meeting, and then I think it's had 2 or 3 postponements since then. Go ahead, Ellen.
The applicant is proposing to demolish the existing building, car wash, and gas station canopy and construct a 5,207 square foot car wash facility. Revised plans have been submitted. It meets all the PCO plan corridor overlay requirements.
All right. You're here to speak?
So, good
Did you
evening,
get past
Commission.
DOTD?
This is a really relaxed meeting tonight. Like, usually there's 1,000 people in here. So, anyhow, I'm here today to ask for site plan approval. Our current site is a gas station with a car wash currently on it. Our plan is to demo the site and build a brand-new car wash. Our site is zoned correctly, and a car wash is a permissive use. We meet all planning and zoning requirements with no variance needed. We have secured DOTD permit. We have worked with the neighbors and have done a lot of additional things to make all happy. We went from 24 vacuums to 18 vacuums. We spun the site to move all vacuums an additional 130 foot away from the rear. We've added additional landscaping that was not required, lots of seasonal color and additional shrubs. We upgraded our system to a VFD system. Our photometric plan we designed so that no light passes over our property line. We also added a 12-foot sound barrier wall that runs the entire rear and left corner in an L shape. We hired the most accredited acoustic engineer firm in the country. They did a sound study and helped us design this wall so that our neighbors will not hear our operation. We have worked extremely hard to achieve a site layout that will be great for all people in this community. We check off all required boxes, and our neighbors are also happy with it. With this, we ask for your approval. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we have a card here in favor. Terrence Bergeron.
I'm right here, if you would just give me just 1 second.
Can I speak in the meantime?
No.
I just put in a card.
In favor?
Yes.
Okay. As soon as he does. Okay. Hi, sorry about that. Thank you for giving me an extra minute there. So my name is Terrence Bergeron. My property immediately abuts this proposed car wash. And you may remember I was always on the other side, certainly against what I felt would be a noise bomb and potentially destructive to our property value and sanity for that matter. So since that time, I've worked with my own legal counsel, which is that particular lawyer is a land use expert lawyer, and he's operates a business here in this county. I've also worked with Mr. Williams' lawyer and him as well to come to what we all feel is a very good plan. I'll just spout off some of those as I'm talking about it really quick. We have the 12-foot rear wall. It's 12 foot and it's actually a sound absorbing wall. We have which is I guess that would be eastern facing. And then we also have the extension. The current plan has a 25-foot extension. We are going to request a slight change to that to lengthen that wall, but that would be on the northern running side, which, if you know that area, would be Boulevard's restaurant next to the gas station. So the wall would extend to meet or at least eclipse that point and where that neighboring building starts, so that we would stop the sound from traveling from where the proposed site's going to be, and the vacuum cleaners and other noise makers to stop the pathway to get to my backyard, and that will do it. Also, we really went through this with a sound engineer and as well as my own legal team. And what we actually have there, which is really beneficial to all the neighbors, and again, I'm most impacted by this, so this means a lot to me. Their property sits at an angle. It's about a 30-degree angle to my property. So my house, if you can see this, my house is kind of directly east-west, and that fence that sits at the western side actually runs sort of from the northeast going southwest. So it's about a 30-degree angle. And that's the angle at which that rear wall is going to sit.
So it'll have this impact, it'll have this sort of angle facing over to our neighbors across the street and also Begonia. And then the northern wall is actually going to make a sort of a V shape like that to clips the sound from coming into my backyard, which is where that portion would, ultimately end up. So I think this is a great design. They're also offered to put this up on the foundation, which is an additional 2 to 3 feet elevated in the back, and so that's where this proposed wall would sit. So ultimately, the launch angle means a lot when it comes to sound, the sound being made and the sound walls. So they would be actually higher than us where the launch angle would be. And then, of course, you'd have the 12-foot wall on top of that. So I think there's going to be plenty of protection there, for that particular concession. They've also agreed to not play, and this is part of the Tommy's brand, so I know this is a big give for them. They're not going to play any music. They won't install any speakers. So they're not going to be doing that anymore. They're also going to restrict all customers. These are all in our agreement. We signed this today. They will restrict their customers from operating any loud music outside. They will not have any employees standing in the back as many car washes. If you've been through Pelicans, they'll have a couple of kids there saying, brakes, neutral. They're constantly screaming this all day. Well, the way Tommy's works, they don't have that kind of problem. So we won't have people yelling in our backyard all day long, which is great. They're pressurized air hoses, which you may remember was my biggest concern. They're actually going to reduce the pressure and install silencers on there. A couple more points here. We've talked about water. I'm sure with the planning and zoning, you wouldn't allow water to flow back into our yard, used water. So anyway, they've assured us here in our agreement that all of the used water will go out towards the current utilities, how do you say here, the sewage system. Yeah, so anyway, it'll go towards Highway 21 where all the current runoff from these commercial buildings is currently going. And they're also going to chip in on the wooden fence that adjoins us, which will actually be behind this sound, sound dampening wall that they're going to install. So that's all the points that are included here. So, with that, we feel that, we've got a really good deal. As I said, I've had it looked at even by my own councilman, Marty Dean. He feels it was a good deal. My lawyer feels it was a good deal, and they've been really, great in the process to get us here. So with that said, I just want to make sure that, the plan that we have here, that we can adjust that northern wall just a little longer than what's actually in the plan. Is that something that can be done? I believe, and I've been told by Jordan that it is something that we can adjust in my experience with Take 5, because if you remember, I was here about the Take 5 guys. It's another car wash, just a couple of doors down, and they were able to get their wall adjusted to meet what we felt was a better wall. So I assume that is the case, and that being the case, we speak out in favor to allow these guys to do what they're going to do, provide all these great sound mitigation measures, and we'll get on with life and hopefully happily. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in favor? Where's your card?
I turned it in.
Oh, she's,
Surprise.
oh, okay.
Matt?
Yeah, come on.
Because you're so
Go ahead.
surprised. This man deserves a medal. This man's been here, 4 times? He has jumped through hoops that nobody else who owns a car wash in this parish has had to do. But he deserves a medal because he has done it. And Ross, we need to consult with this man regarding the UDC and sound attenuation.
Why did I steal my phone when I at the podium? Let me see.
Sorry. Most people take that for granted, and what we have failed to do in St. Tammany Parish is create sound attenuation, be it larger landscaping buffers or attenuation walls. Now, keep in mind, this is a 12-foot wall, It's a visual barrier, it's a light barrier, mostly it's a sound barrier, which is a wonderful thing. It's very, very generous on his part, very wise on his part, because, yeah, a good car wash is going to make a bunch of noise, but he's doing it. So, yes, he deserves a medal, but we need to really look at that as going forward in this parish. We need to think about those buffers between commercial properties and residential properties, because we know we've got them all over the place, because all our major corridors are going all commercial, but they're all abutting residential. So Great work. I'm thrilled for you. I hope this sails through, and I'll be a Tommy's customer. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else wish to speak in favor? All right, I have some cards here. Jerry Smolinski,
Yeah, that's me.
that's you?
That's me, sir. Listen, those were great presentations, and I hope they work. And that's something that is certainly needed for the parish. But we're looking at 2 car washes separated by a gas station right at the end of Begonia Drive. I live at 6 Begonia Drive, and I've been there since '93. So I know that the planned corridor probably didn't foresee this happening, and they did not prepare for it, planned corridor for 21. But the other issue, there's a bunch of other issues with this. The other car wash is right on the corner of an incredibly congested intersection. And I don't know what the traffic studies have done over there, but I just can't see things really going smoothly for both car washes located so close together.
I'm going to ask you to stay with this car wash, not the other one. I could care less about the other one. It's already been approved, apparently, if it's in operation. This man here has been here several times and worked with DOTD and others, so let's stay with this subject.
No, I totally understand that, but to be able to separate the two, that's another thing. I hope it works, and he has jumped through a lot of hoops, and I know one of the other residents at the end of that street is very concerned because there are 2 of them right there. And so she wants to make sure that, at least from this car wash, she will have some protection for herself. And from what I see, some of the wall doesn't come far enough to the south for her protection. Because I've been out there, she's got a garage out there, and you can stand out there and look at both car washes from her location. And hopefully the wall will come far enough so that she won't get overspilled from Tommy's car wash. And I don't know what the other one's doing. I hope they are responsible enough to put some sort of buffers in. And yes, these need to be addressed throughout the parish. And I'm sure in Mandeville, not too long ago, the city council turned down a car wash because it was located too close, or the positioning wasn't done properly, to a residential area that's been there for a long time. And so it's something that I think the council will really have to look closely at, and look closely at both plans, and for the future and development of these type of operations, smack dab up against long-standing residential areas. So that's about all I have to say. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's all of the cards that I had that people wish to speak against. So I want to close it to the public. Let's see, we got rebuttal.
Yeah, I'd like just a short rebuttal on that, if you don't
We're good. We have to go to rebuttal, so.
Sorry, these are my neighbors, and their happiness also is something I would like to maintain, and that was part of the considerations we made as we went along. So again, I mentioned the angle. The angle is really important. That angle and the extension of that wall, which is 170 feet, it goes along the whole entire back portion of that particular car wash. So I believe, because of that angle, and because, secondly, sort of work in conjunction, the back of the car washes are typically less loud. And I mentioned they're not going to be, yelling, brakes, neutral, things like that. Music won't be played. That's part of it. That'll be aimed directly at that wall, and it's less noisy, much less noisy than the front where the blowers are. And then secondly, the building itself creates a sound barrier because all of those other noise-making devices are on the northern side, which is my side. That faces more my backyard, which is why we're going to ask for that northern wall to be extended just about 25 feet, I believe it is, from what it's actually being proposed here. So I think with those two things, and given the angle, the neighbors are going to not have any issue with this particular car wash in terms of sound. So I really went out of my way, and again, I talked to sound engineers about that. I feel confident about it, and then the distance those neighbors are from the particular noise source, I think is going to be just fine for them. So anyway, that was a big deal to me, so thank you for that.
Okay. Tommy, you got any comment?
Jordan.
Jordan, I'm sorry.
No, you don't need to.
Okay.
One issue with that is the question of what is going to be done with the wastewater, whether it's going to be treated, where it's going to be pumped. That's a big concern of mine, and for both of them, for anyone, any car wash. Is there anything done about that yet?
I have it in the agreement also, if you want me to eliminate that.
Yeah.
Because that was a big deal to me. I drank the groundwater there, and I promise to get out of here as soon as possible. We all drank the groundwater there. It's a big deal. So this is one of the very first points that I had his legal team include, is that the drainage plan will deliver rain runoff water to existing, I'm just reading from the agreement, runoff water to existing subsurface drainage on Highway 21, so that's away from our properties, and car washed used water, funny way of saying it, car washed used water will be delivered to the sewage system provided by Utilities Inc. or its successors, alternatives, et cetera. So that was a big deal. That's right here in this agreement, which is now a legal agreement between us. So I'm sure that they'll want to abide that, but I'm sure in your consideration of such properties that water would be handled properly. But it is a big deal. We all drink the groundwater there, and we certainly don't want to be poisoned. So there it is in black and white.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
To answer his question, as far as, we have a letter from Utilities Inc. That they have the capacity to not only give us water, but to take our sewer as well. So we're basically doing everything that's currently at site, there now. If there's an improvement, we're removing gas tanks from the ground, you know what I mean? So we feel it's a little bit better than what's there now, but that, to answer your question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm going to close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Truxillo.
Mr. Williams, please come up to the mic. Over here.
Yes, sir. Oh, hey. Oh, hey.
Well, when you first came here, it was a battle. No one talked to anybody. And you took the bull by the horn and took our recommendation to go talk to people, and came up with a great product. Came up with a great plan, and I appreciate you doing that and meeting with the people and changing your design and also the buffers and everything. So I make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
can I come in between the motion in a second?
Yeah.
And this is going to be a question, I guess, maybe for Emily. Just like we don't enforce restrictive covenants, so whatever motion is made, it's going to be made based on some kind of legal document that's going to be provided to us to make sure that the design meets that legal agreement, or what is our authority here?
Our authority is only to enforce the provisions in the planned corridor district. And according to the staff report, Mr. Williams is not seeking any waivers. So the commission cannot add any other stipulations to that planned corridor review. So it is just approving the plan review as submitted in the staff report. We cannot accept or enforce any private restrictions that Mr. Williams and any of the neighbors have come up with.
So the plans that come in, we're not reviewing them against any kind of legal document they have. If anything goes wrong, it's going to be up to the property owners that made that legal agreement with them to enforce those rules when they see fit, if they see fit.
Correct. That's correct. And as far as extending any walls, that's not required by our ordinances, so that's not something that we can require as part of this plan review. That's something that the parties can work out amongst themselves, but it's not something that this commission can require because that is above and beyond the minimum requirements of our ordinances.
in reality, the things that we discuss are apparently going to be adopted. That's what we're working with Marty Dean, so he's gonna come and say, okay, this is a new thing. We're gonna let you go out of the moratorium to do your site, but there's still going to be a moratorium until he can pass the law that if you but residential on this Highway 21 corridor, you have to go with this specific wall and these types of things. So we're just agreeing and adopting it now. Is kind of what it is. But it should be law moving forward, or rules.
Yeah.
Well, thank both of y'all.
Okay.
All three.
Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
I'm going to second the motion and commend you as well. And it sounds like what you've accomplished is what we talked about earlier, that you're going to set a standard above and beyond what exists today. Might make some other people irritated. It's going to make all the homeowners happy. Maybe some other owners aren't too happy about it, but I think what you did is a great job.
Mr. Crawford.
And I just wanted to second that also, and say this is a case study for what can be done by a developer when he wants to please the public and do the best that he can for the residents. And so it can be done, obviously, and this is a good example, so we appreciate it very much.
Okay. I don't see anyone else in the queue, and we have a motion and a second to approve. Please vote.
The motion to approve carries.
Thank you, and I'll give you that a boy. Let's get it done. And
I'm sure if you just get your car washed there, he'll be happy.
no, I'm not gonna drive. I'm not gonna drive over here to Mandeville to get my car washed. Yeah, right. All right. We have any new business? Any old business? Do I hear an adjournment? Thank y'all.